Thanks, guys. A Fox News alert. A flood of new information is coming out about Minnesota's massive fraud scandal. Each new revelation is fueling more and more demands for answers from Democrat Governor Tim Walz and his administration. The FBI saying it's massing resources to get those answers. This is the Faulkner Focus. Hello, everyone. I'm Julie Banderas, in for Harris today. So an independent journalist is documenting some damning sites at multiple Somali-run childcare centers in Minneapolis. The videos are shocking. They show misspelled signs, boarded up windows, locked doors at no children at the centers that reportedly received millions of dollars in state and federal funding. That journalist is now speaking out about his findings. Watch.
And I've known about the fraud taking place for a long time. Minnesotans have been telling me for a long time about the Somali fraud that is taking place. And with his help, we were able to crack over $110 million in fraud in one day. And that's just the tip. When people say it's the tip of the iceberg, it really is, because there's billions of fraud inside the state of Minnesota right now. A kindergartner could figure out that there's fraud going on.
Walz is off.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the video. This is Justin Paul. So just bringing more information as far as the fraud that's going on in Minnesota. Independent journalist, as you were seeing there in the first clip, he was doing some content where he was uncovering some of the fraud that was involved with like daycares, and they were seeing boarded up doors, windows, and when they went and checked, there was no kids at the daycare. And basically these are establishments that was getting government funding in order to run daycares, but they obviously aren't running daycares. So as he was saying, a kindergartner could figure out that there's fraud going on. And, as you were seeing, people were covering their faces and things like that. And it's crazy that they were covering their faces because they're already pretty much covered up. But, yeah, so, this story's been getting national attention. So a lot of eyes are starting to be on this story. And man, doesn't look good for Governor Tim Walz at all.
Office pushed back against the videos, saying, quote, the governor has worked for years to crack down on fraud and asked the state legislature for more authority to take aggressive action. He has strengthened oversight, including launching investigations into these specific facilities, end quote. House Majority Whip and Minnesota Republican Tom Emmer with this.
If what they're saying is real and can be documented, and what they're saying is they told Tim Walz about the fraud when it was happening, and he not only ignored them, he retaliated against him. I'm telling you, Molly, if that's accurate and it can be proven, Tim Walz needs to be held accountable. Everybody in his administration needs to be held accountable. It's time that we find answers to all these questions and hold everybody accountable.
Congressman Chip Roy is coming up, but first, Garrett Tenney has more on this mess. Hi, Garrett.
Hey, Julie. One of the most surprising things about this new alleged fraud in the child care space in Minneapolis is that it really isn't new at all. There have been reports about this very thing happening since even before Tim Walz took office, and it appears that it has largely been allowed to continue without much interruption. One example of a child care business that is now under the microscope is Quality Learning Center, or Leering Center, as the sign says. The business
I mean, look at the sign, guys. It's supposed to be Quality Learning Center. So a learning center cannot spell learning correctly. And this is more than likely been going on for years. And it's just like they were saying, even before Tim Walz being in office, and just nobody even, how much investigating do you have to do? Again, I feel like, people were taking some type of pay, some type of way and keeping these places going, because at the end of the day, it's a lot of greed, and a lot of people just know how to kind of get around certain things and certain systems, so they'll do anything, including misspell learning on a sign for a quality learning center. It's crazy.
Is licensed for 99 children, from infants to toddlers, but the business hours are from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Over the past 3 years, it has been cited for more than 120 violations for all kinds of things, including for not having proper documentation for all of the kids there. Despite that, the local ABC station reported back in January that the business has still been able to receive nearly $8 million in federal tax money since 2019. We've also confirmed that the owners took out more than $200,000 in PPP loans during the pandemic that were completely forgiven.
Oh man. Like, it's just crazy. How do you get away with this type of stuff that's right under people's nose? And even though they were saying like 120 violations and stuff like that, they still got $8 million worth of federal funding, like taxpayer money. They still was able to receive millions of dollars, PPP loans forgiven, and they're spelling learning incorrectly.
Nick Shirley says there were similar red flags at some of the other child care centers that he tried to visit in the Twin Cities.
It's so obvious. If you're living in Minnesota, you have to raise your eyebrows and think, what's going on? Literally, if you drive around Minnesota, around Minneapolis, you'll see daycare centers, autism centers. You will then see transportation companies that have snow piled up as if they haven't moved in months.
After Shirley's videos went viral, FBI Director Kash Patel posted that the Bureau is all over this, saying fraud that steals from taxpayers and robs vulnerable children will remain a top FBI priority in Minnesota and nationwide. The FBI believes this is just the tip of a very large iceberg. We will continue to follow the money and protect children, and this investigation very much remains ongoing.
Yeah, I mean, Kash Patel is definitely trying to go down in the history books as a great FBI director. So, I believe what he's saying, especially now that it's getting all this national attention. I mean, you'll be a fool not to press the issue. You'll be a fool not to put a lot of resources into investigating what's going on in Minnesota. Because it's billions of dollars just disappearing, and doing it at disguise of like autism services, daycare, transportation services. You really just taking advantage of, some type of services that people actually need. That they're in need, so that there's a way that you can disguise yourself as providing these services and get millions of dollars from taxpayers. Skip a little bit in the video here. Of course, it's the tip of the iceberg. Man said he found over $100 million worth of fraud in just a few hours. Let's see.
His husband reportedly purged key officer official details from his $25 million venture capital firm's website. Now, this move comes amid growing questions about the couple's wealth and possible connection to the welfare fraud. According to her latest financial disclosure in May, the couple's net worth surged 3,500% in just 1 year. It estimates now putting it anywhere from $6 million to $30 million.
So how many people do y'all know whose net worth surges 3,500% in 1 year? That didn't create a new technology, that didn't get bought by another company or a merger or something like that. It's like all the writings on the wall, and we just painting right over that wall every time they put up the writing. If this is true, if these numbers are true, like, she needs to write a book on how she did it, because a lot of people, she'll be a New York Times bestseller. A lot of people will stand in line to get that book to see how she was able to do this. It's been a lot of things that have came out about Ilhan Omar, and I read stuff, and of course listen to other people's reactions to certain things, and again, how do you increase your net worth by 3,500%? How do you do that?
Their net worth went up 3,500%. How do you explain that? And then talk about the scrubbing on the website. That doesn't look good. What's Walz doing about that? Is he looking into this?
Well, certainly not. I mean, he's certainly supportive of whatever they're doing. And this is one of the other things that we need to address is the extent to which members of Congress find themselves getting wealthy while they're in Congress. In this case, it appears by being completely in bed with all of the fraudulent activity that's going on in Minnesota. Of course, we should investigate this. Of course, should we look into what they're scrubbing from their website. I think we've got to explore this as far as we can, including potentially looking into denaturalizing and removing Ilhan Omar if she's violated our laws. And by the way, we should also ban stock trading among members of Congress, since we're talking about the wealth of Congress, and I have a bill to do that, and I hope we will do that next year. Mike Johnson, the Speaker, is working with us to do that. We have got to stop all of this flow of dollars that is corrupting our system, empower the American people to do what they do best, and we've got to pause immigration. I introduced a bill to pause immigration because we've got to stop this massive abuse of our system, using H-1Bs, using diversity visas. President Trump is exactly right to have frozen the diversity visas, to have stopped that, to freeze the flow from countries of concern. Remember that in 1920, when we had a high percentage of people that were foreign-born, we froze immigration for 40 years, and our country vanquished, the Nazis in Germany, freed the world. We did great things in those 40 years. We can do it again. That's why I introduced legislation to pause immigration. The president's right to do that, and I'm supporting him in that effort.
Okay, meantime, the Trump administration is working to highlight its achievements this year ahead of next year's midterm election.
Yeah, so they're about to go into, Trump and, how he wants to definitely make sure the American people know of all the good things that he's done within the last 12 months, and, just to try to keep the approval rating up. But, just back to the fraud. Again, she wrote a book talking about her stock moves, her stock strategies, and stuff like that. It'll be a New York Times bestseller. I smell a lot of being in bed with fraudsters, and it's just as clear as day to see. But I'm gonna close out this reaction video here, and just definitely keep my eyes and ears open to what else comes out. I mean, I did not know her net worth increased that much in 1 year. They must have really known something, because you put your money into the stock market, but you don't necessarily know exactly what it's going to do, and it's ups and downs and things like that. So from 6 million to 30 million, like I said, didn't create any new technology, didn't create an app. I mean, do I believe that she was able to get $30 million in donations? No. It's just a lot of questions here. It's too many questions and not enough answers at this moment. But go ahead and wrap this video up. If you like my content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. to my channel. This is Justin Paul. Peace.